The New York Times is running a story that I have traveled with a 17-year-old woman, and that is verifiably false. People can look at my travel records and see that that is not the case. What is happening is an extortion of me and my family involving a former Department of Justice official. And the FBI and the Department of Justice were so concerned about this attempted extortion of a member of Congress that they asked my dad to wear a wire, which he did with the former Department of Justice official. Tonight, I am demanding that the Department of Justice and the FBI release the audio recordings that were made under their supervision and at their direction, which will prove my innocence. I'm not the only person on screen right now who's been falsely accused of a terrible sex act. You were accused of something that you did not do, and so you know what this feels like. You know the pain it can bring to your family, and you know how it just puts people on defense when you're accused of something so salacious and awful.
You just referred to a mentally ill viewer who accused me of a sex crime 20 years ago. And of course, it was not true. I never met the person. But I do agree with you that being accused falsely is one of the worst things that can happen. And you do see it a lot. What is the basis of that investigation? What is the allegation? That's really not very clear from these news stories.
Yeah, again, I only know what I've read in the New York Times. I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there, and I brought a friend of mine. You'll remember her. And she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme, that she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to smear me.
Who are they? Who is this girl? What are they talking about, the New York Times?
The person doesn't exist. I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old. That is totally false.
If you just saw our Matt Gaetz interview, that was one of the weirdest interviews I've ever conducted. I don't think that clarified much, but it certainly showed this is a deeply interesting story, and we'll be following it. Don't quite understand it, but we'll bring you more when we find out.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Left on Red boys coming at you with a new episode. Cam, what's going on, man?
Not too much, dude. Just got done watching the entire Matrix trilogy right before this, so I'm fucking
nice. A little Matrix marathon, dude?
No, I actually just drove for like 7 hours.
Yep.
I was sequestered in parts unknown,
yep.
and I rushed back home. And what did I find when I came back? That my poor, sick co-host had been waylaid by vaccine fever.
Yeah, so for this episode, we're going to do something a little bit different. I had the intention of writing an episode that, has to do with history, which is ostensibly what this podcast is about.
I mean, theoretically. I feel like we're not sticking to our own mission statement here, but that's because we're just too punk rock to worry about rules, even our own rules.
Yeah, and also people seem to like the episodes that are not history as much as the other ones. So,
yeah.
But yeah,
they're fun
so
to
anyway.
do. They're easier and they're maybe more fun,
yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, so on Saturday I received my second Pfizer COVID vaccine dose, and I did not anticipate it waylaying me for like 2 days, and then I finally went back to work on Tuesday, and I still was kind of having a bit of a tough time just paying attention. So reading a few chapters in a book and writing an episode was just not something that would have come out in anything like a good product.
I don't blame you. The good thing I think is that any productivity that you may have lost will be more than made up for when you're fully Windows integrated, and you can just think your episodes and they'll populate.
Honestly, my cell phone's been getting a lot better reception.
Yeah.
The last few days.
Right. Well, it helps that you are now a mini 5G tower.
Yeah, I do have this little bump in my left arm, which it looks like where the injection site is, but I'm not going to think about that. I do hear a little beeping sometimes coming from it.
Yeah, I was going to say the tracking devices usually take some time to burrow deep enough into your bone where they won't be noticed.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty soon I'll just be able to thought to text,
Which is awesome, because if there's one thing that I feel like my texting life has been missing, it's total stream of consciousness from Evan, not just like the near stream of consciousness that we've achieved after a decade of just like exclusively inside jokes and being mean to each other.
Yeah, and then like occasionally one of us will text the other one like 10 times in a row with just totally like just all over the place memes and whatnot before the other one responds.
I feel like I take that as a bit of an attack, since we're talking about multiple shotgun texts. I feel like you're probably talking about me.
I didn't mean it like that.
I have never typed out a multi-sentence text message in my life. I'm a big fan of sending 7 separate texts.
It's 5 texts, 7 words total.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of screen space that it takes up is significantly greater than the amount of time that it took. I don't know. It's shitty. It's bad.
Anyway, so one of the big topics we'll get into today is the Matt Gaetz saga, which I absolutely love. But first, do we have an ad spot?
Yeah, we do. So I actually was just reading this for the first time because, like I said, I was off in distant lands, being safe. Don't worry. But I actually didn't really have much time to rehearse this, so. I'm going to kind of just read it, and hopefully they were clear in their message, because I'm not a great improviser. Okay, so today's episode is brought to you by Sticky Pete's. I'm sorry, it's actually smudged a little bit. So it's either Sticky Pete's or it's Stinky Pete's.
Okay.
I think it's Sticky Pete's.
Well, Pete's got something going on.
Yeah, so today we're brought to you by Sticky Pete's. Sure, it might smell really bad, but so I think it's Stinky Pete's. Okay, so today's episode is brought to you by Stinky Pete's. What even is Stinky Pete's? Stinky Pete's. Sure, it might smell really bad, but no kit is complete without the tough adhesive power. Okay, so it's Sticky Pete's. Okay, so Sticky Pete's. It smells bad. Okay, so no kit is complete without the tough adhering power of Sticky Pete's. That's right. No other all-natural elk musk sticks to your clothes as long or smells as strong. Heck, it's even in the name. This stuff stinks. Okay, this is very confusing. So Stinky Pete's. Not safe for use by children under the age of 8, and you can remember this with the simple phrase. Remember, kids, you can't spell Stinky Pete's without icky. Don't eat that Sticky Pete's because it's so icky. Cool. Sticky Pete's by Sticky Pete's. It's a product known for its smell. Okay.
And adhesiveness.
Yeah. All right, so big Sticky Pete's, Stinky Pete's, send us a message with left unread 1 in the subject line, and I don't know what you're going to be getting, but we'll send
probably
you...
1% off.
We'll send you some Pete's. We'll just call it Pete's. All right. Well, sorry. I guess I should go through these emails right when I get them instead of just doing them live like that. I feel kind of silly. Hopefully they don't get upset with us.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to get right into it, or did you want to go over some other things before the main topic?
I don't really care. So I actually we can do a little sandwich. I have 2 small things that I wanted to contribute to today to kind of fill out the time. And if you want, I can do like one before and one after, and we can just like kind of chat about them, or we can dive right into Matt Gaetz. I don't really care.
Yeah, let's start with Matt Gaetz, then we can
we
can chat on the back end.
Yeah, dude. We'll put the frosting under the cake.
So anyway, I'm sure most of you have heard the story by now. If not, congratulations. Congressman Matt Gaetz, who is a Republican representing Florida's 1st Congressional District, which is the Panhandle, very aptly, in the U.S. House of Representatives, is currently under investigation by the Justice Department for sex trafficking, having sex with a 17-year-old and paying to have her travel with him, according to the New York Times. This is super illegal.
Oh, yeah. I know some of you might be thinking, like, when does the scandal part start? But nope, that's it, folks. Pump your brakes, because that's it.
Yeah, so that's the main story, which came out, I think it was last week?
Yeah, it's been about a week, I think, since we first started here. I knew peripherally about Matt Gaetz, but watching his implosion live on Twitter has really brought him to the forefront of my mind.
Yeah, I mean, he is famously one of the lesser Trumps in Congress, having really hitched his wagon to that horse.
Yeah.
And, he was at times called an up-and-comer in the Republican Party, which I have to imagine has to deal with all of the dirt people had on him, so he would be really good to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He would make a really useful tool.
Yeah. Now, I think also after this came out, there was just an absolutely bizarre Tucker Carlson interview, which owns like Tucker's face during it when live in the video, Matt Gaetz on live TV tries to make Tucker Carlson an accessory after the fact by trying to implicate him, and afterwards Tucker Carlson just saying, "Oh, that was one of the most bizarre interviews of my career. I don't think it cleared anything up."
Yeah, no, and the thing about that is of all the people to tell you that you seem, I mean, in so many words, to sort of say that you seem like a scumbag who is guilty of sex crimes,
it's fucking Tucker Carlson.
Having Tucker Carlson be the guy that does it is, man.
Who's bafflingly stupid himself.
Yeah, he's a complete idiot.
And if you're getting dunked on by Tucker Carlson,
right? If he's not willing to play along with your bullshit, I think really what that says more than anything is that any behind the scenes support that you're getting has been retracted. Right? Because nobody's feeding Tucker his little lines hey, make sure you make Matt look good. They're just leave this scumbag out to dry.
Clearly, this was just supposed to be a softball interview for Matt Gaetz.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Lobs, man. He was getting lobbed at.
Yeah, he was just and he could, the only thing that he could do was attack the person who's trying to give him the chance.
Yeah.
To seem less like a fucking dumb scumbag.
Dude, Gaetz gate.
Yeah.
Gaetz
I know,
gate
yeah,
is
he
real.
got what he wished for.
Yeah.
But and then since then, the days after that, it's just been a constant stream of more allegations. Things like the fucking Harry Potter sex game that he had going on.
So you have to, I'm going to say that you should explain all of this to me as if I don't know what you're talking about because, spoiler, I fucking don't. I've been away for a couple days and I haven't been looking at the news because I've really not wanted to spend my 4 days of vacation hating the world. So fill me in, man. I don't know about Harry Potter.
Okay, so for the days preceding this investigation getting leaked to New York Times,
right?
It came out that apparently Matt Gaetz is a high school boy who has a bunch of sex games. First of all, he apparently is super down to just pull out his phone and show naked pictures to women he slept with to other lawmakers or congressional aides or anybody dumb enough to stop on their way by his office.
Hell yeah.
He's just whipping out his fucking phone and just like, yo, look who I just banged the other night. Like, he's like a 38-year-old man, dude. Like,
yeah,
congrats on the sex, my dude.
He's a remarkably hilarious-looking fellow. And
yeah.
The idea of, like, that particular guy stopping you in the hallway to be like, hey, man, hey, check out the bazungas on this sweet little number. Like, he says shit like that, too. Like,
yeah.
It's never low-key. Like, he's just like, hey, man, what do you think? He's probably like, oh, yeah, look at those prime ripe melons hanging off of this little cutie.
Are you looking? Did you see the...
Ooh, baby.
Did you see them?
That's a couple of... That is two... Man, it's like two hot mushrooms. It's wow. Look at those two hot. She's too hot.
Okay, now guess how I got the picture. Guess. She sent it.
She sent it.
She sent it to me.
Yeah,
you know why?
She sent it. 'Cause
sex. We had sex.
Florida man, fiance, firebrand, Matt Gaetz.
We had sex together last night, and then she sent me that this morning.
She and I did sex together last night. Man, when I say that I was like the oil on those two hot mushrooms, let me just say there were actually 3 mushrooms in that room that night. Believe you me, because the dick looks kind of like a mushroom. Anyway, look at it.
You want to see another one? You want to see another one?
Hey man, I've got more. And when I say that they're not all the same lady, you better believe it, bud. Because do I get laid? Boy, do I ever get laid.
This dude's like almost 40 years old, and he's doing this. So then
he does have a full head of hair, unless that's a wig. So I guess honestly, if I was 40 years old and had a 5 head and a full head of hair, I would expect to be...
And a chin that was, like, maybe double the size of your forehead, too.
Yeah, his whole look is hilarious. It looks like they, like, photoshopped Richard Nixon's face to make him look like a squintier, younger version of himself.
He looks like he got, like, spun around in a centrifuge.
Yeah, man.
And his head just, like, elongated from the force. But, so the next day it comes out that this dude had a fucking Harry Potter sex game going.
Okay.
When he was in, like, the Florida, state house. And it was Harry Potter themed because you would get points for sleeping with certain women or like things like waking up in a sorority house.
Okay.
And then there was one woman who was not named, which please don't let anybody leak that if they get it.
So I was meaning to ask you about that. I think, isn't that child abuse?
Well, no. So this is before that.
No, but a kid should
No.
This is different.
This is different.
I was making a joke.
Okay, Chup.
She wasn't named, but hey, the thing about these jokes is they all track because only you and I listen to this.
Okay. So there was one woman involved in this game that they called the snitch. Because she was a married legislator, and if you managed to sleep with her, you won the game regardless of where the points were.
Oh my god, really?
Dude, so and this shit just bam, 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 bam. They're just coming out over the the few days. So clearly some kind of call was given out that everybody was like, all right, dude, fucking just dump all the information that you got on Matt Gaetz. But back to the investigation that led to this just constant stream of really, really embarrassing stories of Matt Gaetz coming out. An investigation was apparently opened in the final months of the Trump administration, and according to CNN, Matt Gaetz himself preemptively sought a pardon for himself near the end of Donald Trump's term in office, and he made this request known outside the White House counsel's office, but his request was never seriously considered by the White House as preemptive pardons had been decidedly off the table. The president's lawyers told Trump that he should not pardon himself, his family, or any other Republican lawmakers unless he was prepared to list specific crimes, which obviously is not going to do that shit. So Trump denies being asked for a pardon by Gaetz, and a Gaetz spokesperson has tried to claim the pardon requests were actually just Gaetz's about Trump pardoning, quote, everyone from himself to his admin to Joe Exotic, essentially trying to say these pardon requests were just part of public statements Gaetz made, like on Twitter and things like that, with whatever stupid tweets he makes.
Right. Yeah, no, his Twitter's hilarious.
Yeah. Gaetz denies these allegations and claims they are part of an extortion plot against him and his family, which he unveiled very stupidly on the Tucker Carlson show. It is reported that the allegations against Gaetz were part of a broader investigation into former Florida politician Joel Greenberg, who was indicted last summer for a litany of charges, which included sex trafficking of a child and paying for sex from underage girls. All right, so let's break these down.
Here's the thing, though. Why isn't QAnon freaking out over Matt Gaetz?
Who knows?
Anytime there's a real sex trafficker, they ignore them because they're on their same team.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like, Matt Gaetz, like, you just look at that guy and you're like,
yeah,
fucking
I was going to say, like, first of all, I don't believe that anyone should ever be treated differently or had any sort of allegations lumped upon them based solely on their appearance. Secondly, I would like to say unequivocally that I knew this man was a rapist from the second I saw him.
Dude,
This man looks like a fucking child rapist.
Look at the fucking way he stands in pictures. He doesn't know what to do with any part of his body.
Yeah,
ever.
no, he sucks.
Like, so there's a lot of threads to pull here, and I'm gonna start with the extortion angle. So Gaetz says that he has text message screenshots, an email, and a typed document supporting his claims that this investigation into his relationship with a 17-year-old is all tied up in an extortion scheme against him. Now, if you actually look at this shit, it's just a text screenshot, could be from anybody. And the typed document is like one of the funniest things. I'll get to that later. But he claims this alleged 17-year-old is totally false, and that rather his lawyers told him he was not a target of an investigation, but a subject. According to Gaetz, his family is being extorted for $25 million, and the people pushing the stories about an investigation into his relationships with women are the ones extorting him and are also being investigated by the FBI. Gaetz claims that his documents allege a scheme that revolves around attempts by former Air Force intelligence officer Bob Kent and the attorney David McGee of Beggs and Lane, a former federal prosecutor, to free the ex-FBI agent turned private investigator Robert Levinson from imprisonment in Iran. Robert Levinson disappeared in Iran in March of 2007, and Kent had a secret mission in December 2018 to rescue him, but was thwarted by the federal government. Now, this is where shit starts getting really weird. And I think there's a lot of interesting things here. In the end, I mean, who knows if these people were actually extorting Matt Gaetz.
Sure.
I can absolutely see it possible that they were trying to extort him and that he's also guilty.
Yeah, right. Like, it's the thing that I'm so far taking away from this is that, like, why not both?
Yeah.
I don't think he has yet to present compelling evidence that this extortion plot is relevant to his sexual misdemeanors, right? Like, yeah, maybe this is all true, but also, did you have sex with that 17-year-old?
Because he was very tied in with Joel Greenberg, who is definitely super corrupt and definitely having sex with underage girls and trafficking them.
He's 100% having sex.
Yeah. So the more I like got into this Robert Levinson thing, the more it was like, okay, fucking something is going on here. And now just all of these threads have like come to light, but I don't know what to make of a lot of it. So according to a Newsweek article from 2 years ago, plans were well in motion to rescue Levinson from Iran with the payoff cash of $250,000 secured by Bob Kent. So again, Bob Kent is the lawyer. Oh no, Bob Kent is the guy who is supposedly extorting Gaetz.
Gotcha.
And he has a lawyer named McGee. So Bob Kent was going to go there 2 years ago to Iran with $250,000. And he would board a plane from New York to the Middle East.
Okay.
Now, Levinson is an ex-FBI agent who is an expert on Russian organized crime, And he had gone to Iran in 2007 with the federal government claiming they had no idea why he went there. So he was captured and has only been seen twice since. One in a hostage video in 2010 that his family received from unknown intermediaries, then in photos 3 years later showing him as now 63 years old and looking haggard while begging for help.
Sweet.
And then in 2013, it was revealed through the AP and other outlets that he had gone to Kish Island as an off-the-books CIA mission to probe high-level Iranian money laundering.
Where's Kish Island?
Probably somewhere in the Gulf. I didn't even look. Let me see.
Well, I mean, we're just throwing it. I can look it up. We're talking about Kish Island? I just want to know where Kish Island is.
Yeah, off the coast of Iran. Yeah, it's in the Persian Gulf.
Okay. It looks really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, seems like a resort area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
So now this is total speculation on my part, but the sources who were reporting that he was actually on a CIA mission are like corporate news sources like the AP. And so, total speculation, but I'm assuming since these are the sources, their sources were probably people with an intelligence that were just dropping some kind of limited hangout. Now, do you know what a limited hangout is?
No.
Okay. A limited hangout is when an intelligence service is concerned that some details are going to eventually get found out by the public, and they might release partial details themselves, or they'll release partial details of something else in order to try to... Exactly.
Right, like when they dropped the UFO shit last year or 2 years ago.
Yep,
and it's like, okay, so what do you not want us to know about? If suddenly we can know about UFOs, what are we not supposed to find out about?
So I'm guessing, since it was like the AP reporting it,
right,
that somebody in the State Department or in intelligence was like, hey, I'm going to give you a little bit of scoop so you can just report that.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot more information. And eventually, so the Levinson family, once they found out, oh my God, he was on a CIA mission, they believed his capture was an embarrassment to the U.S. government, which is why the U.S. government wasn't really trying to rescue him, at least not in any outward way. And that's why they had routinely denied that he was captured. So the Levinson family put their own plan in motion. They tried for years to rescue Levinson. Kent was just the latest in a long line of people who tried to rescue Levinson, and this is a fucking motley crew that had been going for years before. They were people including an Iranian assassin, a retired detective with CIA connections, a former FBI agent, a former federal prosecutor, a truck driver from Philly, Russian oligarchs, and Russian mobsters.
Wow.
Had been contracted before or on their own tried to get him. So now some CIA-connected money men had secured a proof-of-life package for $100,000. So we're going back to 2018 now. They secured a proof-of-life package for $100,000, which included fingerprints, a blood sample, and what was claimed to be a recent 41-second clip of the now elderly Levinson. Another $150,000 was needed for the rescue, but as Kent got ready to leave for the airport, federal agents refused to let him leave for Iran due to the Trump administration's sanctions. The State Department and or the FBI threatened the sponsors, which Levinson's attorney David McGee claimed was part of a long pattern of the federal government's interfering in any effort to rescue the agent. Apparently, Kent had been working for corporate clients in the Middle East for several years and was trying to get a government intelligence contract. The FBI was skeptical of his sources and sarcastically told him to find Levinson. He returned 2 months later, claiming he could obtain proof of life and perhaps more. The FBI took the information, but claimed actually arranging the proof of life package would be incredibly complex. Now, the group that was financing this $250,000 was some CIA-connected people from Northern Virginia. But the others before them had included the Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska. Later, a Russian mobster, Semyon Mogilevich, would offer to fund a rescue, which Levinson himself had been tracking Mogilevich for years, a man often claimed to be one of the most dangerous criminals in the world. Do you see what I mean? Where there's like all these threads.
Yeah, man, this is confusing.
And
I'm really excited to see like where this ties in with Matt Gaetz fucking a 17-year-old. I can't wait, dude, for you to bring all these different moving parts together. I'm so excited for I'm so excited for the satisfying payoff that I know is coming.
Yeah, you might not be so satisfied.
All right, buddy, spin this yarn.
So, like, one of the people that Levinson had been hunting is now offering the Levinson family to help find him.
Right.
After he goes missing in
Right.
Iran. A fucking Russian oligarch is like, hey, man, we can help get him
I will
for you.
find this man for you.
Yeah. A little price, maybe we'll do it for free.
Small price to ask, but I will find
He's
this
an
man
old
for you.
friend, you know? But, so over the following years, more people would offer to put up the money, and occasionally the Bureau's mood would be more cooperative before again crumbling away. One of the people that had offered was a Philly truck driver and former Marine named Walton Martin, who had apparently become obsessed with Iran earlier in life during the 79 to 81 hostage crisis. And he launched a one-man project to aid Iranian defectors and refugees in Turkey. He apparently over the years had kept a constant stream of intelligence coming in from Iran, which included the Iranian Revolutionary Guards operations, and also reportedly Levinson's whereabouts. The FBI would develop a close relationship with Martin as he received intel. Now, Martin's FBI handlers refused to allow their personal information and names to get out for fear of their safety, but they said there was definite buzz in the government about finding Levinson from Martin's findings.
Okay.
So Martin would eventually begin working with Joseph O'Brien, a former FBI agent who led the investigation into in the 90s into Paul Castellano, head of the Gambino crime family.
There are so many characters in this story, and none of them is Matt Gaetz or a 17-year-old girl. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see how Paul Castellano, head of the Gambino crime family, is going to factor in and help us crack the case of the extortion plot against Matt Gaetz. I can't wait.
Yeah,
Man, I'm salivating.
So eventually Martin would be subpoenaed to relinquish all information he had to the Justice Department, and some of them were obvious forgeries, so this led nowhere. So O'Brien, this man, Joseph O'Brien, a former FBI agent, continued working on the case with an unnamed detective who had worked with the CIA and FBI in the past. This man met in 2018 with, I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name, so I'll just say Bahram Nahidian.
Abolsfazl Bahram Nahidian.
Bahram Nahidian.
Abolsfazl Bahram Nahidian.
Yeah, who is a radical imam from Virginia who has close contacts to Iran. Now, this imam has a contact named Dawood Salahuddin who carried out an assassination of an anti-regime activist in Maryland in 1980. Decades later, he was available as a source for journalists on the regime, and he's the man Levinson flew to Kish Island in 2007 to meet with, to discuss the money laundering in Iran. He also claims to have no knowledge about the case, and he said he was hustled by Iranian agents from the hotel meeting. Now, finally, after all of these people looking for him, and basically sometimes the government pretending like they want to work with them, but then eventually telling them to get lost, and then taking all of their information and discrediting some of them. It's just like this cat and mouse game with a bunch of people looking for this guy.
Yeah,
and the government.
You got to wonder why so many different people want him.
Yeah, and like the government's like lower level agents will be playing coy, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're actually interested, and then suddenly at some point a call goes out that tells them, tell these fucking people to get lost.
Right, he's dead.
And this just keeps happening for like a fucking decade.
Yeah.
So finally in 2020, Levinson, after all this time, is proclaimed dead by his family and the U.S. government, with no definite details other than it happened before the COVID-19 pandemic. So back to Gaetz. He's fucking claiming that, no, man, Kent never gave up, and now he's closer than ever, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And Kent claims in his correspondence with Matt Gaetz' father, former Florida State Senate President Don Gaetz, that Levinson is still alive and that he is in possession of proof-of-life videos. In these claims, if the Gaetz family pays $25 million, so this is, like, what, 2 orders of magnitude more?
Yeah, it's insane.
than what he was doing before?
Mm-hmm.
If the Gaetz family pays $25 million for a rescue operation, that's, 3 years. They've really upped that charge.
Yeah, he's worth a lot more.
Matt Gaetz would get the media credit for making it happen and would be pardoned by President Biden for unnamed legal issues. Which, this seems kind of weird. I don't know. if Matt Gaetz helps fund an extrajudicial rescue without public money for this guy that the government says is dead,
right,
for some reason President Biden is going to make all of his sexual impropriety go away.
Well, that sure
Doesn't
sounds
really
like
make
Joe
sense.
Biden to me.
But
well, now, Jack, thanks so much for helping us out there. Uncle Joe will make this all go away. We'll take care of this for you.
oh man, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. But so the fucking rescue document that Matt Gaetz pulls up is just a fucking typed out document with the heading Project Homecoming. And again, printed out and handed to the Gaetzes by who this is a fucking criminal fucking conspiracy that they're saying they were given the printed out document with all the incriminating evidence on.
Yeah.
Or information.
That's how documents. It was a guy in a trench coat with a hat pulled down and his lapels up around his face, and he handed them a manila envelope with "Top Secret" stamped on it in big red letters.
And then the letter just says, "I am extorting you. Please give me $25 million. You have 1 day."
Here's all relevant and pertinent information to the plot for which I am demanding the extortion money,
including the trust account to put the money in.
Please review before agreeing to send the funds.
So this document, again, printed out and handed to the Gaetzes, according to them, says in it that the money should be deposited into the trust account of Beggs and Land, which is David McGee's company, and it specifically names David McGee. This document also says Gaetz is under investigation by the FBI for various public corruption and integrity issues, including photos depicting Gaetz in an orgy with underage prostitutes, which Gaetz alludes to in his Tucker Carlson interview. This document also claims that upon receipt of payment and release of Levinson, the team that delivers Levinson to the president shall advocate for a pardon or instruct the Justice Department to terminate the investigation. This document also says the White House has some knowledge of the plan. It just lays out all the information like that. So he fucking goes on, does this bizarre interview on Tucker Carlson.
This is, honestly, dude, this conspiracy is just like, if you awesome. And I just like had an afternoon to come up with a conspiracy, it's no better than that.
Yeah, no, it's like if shit, I gotta go on TV in 2 hours and these allegations just dropped. We gotta find a way to make it look like we're being extorted. Just have your cousin Sal over there just type up a document.
Right. So Matt Gaetz is firing his bow, freaking out, and then he remembers Uncle Jimmy, who used to be a staff writer for Burn Notice, who's going to come in and, give him that high-quality TNT.
He used to have a blog spot or something.
Right. Yeah, he used to he used to write, Indiana Jones Rule 34 fan fictions, and now he's finally stepped up to the plate to help little Matt get himself out of a pickle.
This is going to be on Fox News, dude. It's got to look good. So in this bizarre interview on Tucker Carlson, he says all of this information on air, and it prompts the reports to be denied by the law firm, obviously. And then they claim that Gaetz is making up the story to distract from his apparent imminent indictment for sex trafficking minors.
No. He's got the 3-page printed document, guys.
Yeah, but it's called Project Homecoming,
They even did it in a typeface font. So it looked, it's, come on, guys.
So now what's really funny, though, is however an apparent Justice Department email chain seems to confirm the extortion. And it's in a chain involving U.S. Attorney David Goldberg. And, it at least backs up in some way that there is an investigation of potential extortion. Whether or not it's, false allegations, we don't know, but it is being investigated and was by last week.
Wow.
So both the DOJ and the FBI declined to comment on the email or any investigation of extortion. And Gaetz even said that his father has worn a wire to assist with the case, and that he suspects a leak to the New York Times about Gaetz' trafficking was timed to thwart the extortion investigation. And he's asking them to release the fucking recording, the Gaetz cut.
Yeah,
release
man.
The Gaetz
I love
cut.
it. It's 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just him mumbling about Project Homecoming and CIA agents missing in Iran. And it was just like the entire thing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, it's this just keeps getting crazier and crazier, and like my head hurts. I just this whole time you're telling me all this stuff, and I feel like my brain's just melting out through my ears, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this story, man?
Yeah,
but
so it's a
great.
story. So he's trying to claim that this story, where there's clearly some kind of CIA fuckery going on, with this Levinson dude who was doing something in Iran on a secret mission and got captured, ostensibly, maybe not. And they're just like calling back to this. I don't even know what to make about any of that.
Yeah, it's insane. Because at the end of it, like maybe it's true. Maybe this is all real.
But so let's get into our boy Joel Greenberg. Now, the entire reason that Matt Gaetz is under investigation for this is not because of this like fake extortion claims. They didn't come up with the charges.
Right.
Matt Gaetz got pulled into this because of his boy Joel Greenberg.
Okay.
Who got arrested in Florida. So Joel Greenberg was, I'm going to put quotes here, a political player in Seminole County, Florida, where he won the race for county tax collector in 2016.
So he's moving up, yeah.
Yeah, so among many of his innovations, and let me tell you, he saw himself as a real Augustus as a tax collector. This dude's fucking constant stream of grifts and hustles as tax collector fucking rule, man. Like, I hope he was one of the most corrupt, like, local politicians in this country, but there's probably a million of these little tyrants.
Yeah, so I'm immediately picturing, you saw season 1 of True Detective, right?
Yeah.
You remember that guy who's like one of their former buddies, and his name is like Sheriff Geraci? And they have to like get on his boat, and they end up like torturing him on his boat because they find out that like he knows all about the goings on at Carcosa and all that. Yeah, I just picture him like that guy. Sorry, I feel like that reference fell a little flat. I feel like you don't remember that guy, but...
I didn't until you said the boat part.
Yeah, and they show him like the video of the... And I'm actually just picturing this whole scenario playing out exactly like that.
Yeah, except this dude is like...
It's instead of a video
dumb,
of like...
coked up version of him.
Instead of a video of like child abuse, it's like... Well, I mean, I guess it still sort of is, but it's just like Matt Gaetz like flopping around like a big nasty salamander with a bunch of teenage prostitutes.
But so among many of Mr. Greenberg's innovations, pretty quickly he got himself and his deputy collectors, tax collectors, the right to carry guns into work, getting them exempt from state law prohibiting officials from carrying firearms while performing their duties as they are considered revenue officers. So these boys collecting your taxes are fucking coming up strapped.
Yeah, they're packing.
Yeah. He often flaunted his connections to Roger Stone and Matt Gaetz, and this includes taking pictures with Gaetz in 2019 at the White House. But in last June, he was arrested on stalking and child sex trafficking charges.
Right on.
So Greenberg, who formerly owned an Orlando-based advertising company, rose to prominence after defeating a 3-decade incumbent in the primary for tax collector of Seminole County. This fucking poor county is just, they really vote in the worst. So he would claim quote, people are sick of crony capitalism and with politicians using their offices for political gain, because his opponent was embroiled in a scandal due to real estate practices he and his family engaged in. Well, let me tell you, I'm just going to imagine homeboy here, Joel Greenberg, was way worse, way more corrupt than his opponent. So he started wearing his tax collector badge around his neck like a police official, and he would pull people over and accuse them of speeding while flashing his badge. He couldn't write you a ticket. You just go, hey, you're speeding. Like, just fucking with people.
Dude.
He was a tax collector.
No, I know. This is just like a textbook example of like the absolute smallest amount of power just immediately like corrupting and destroying someone's mind.
Dude, yeah.
Tax collector, huh?
Yeah.
First step, the county revenue office. Next step, the stars.
Yep. So a month after pulling somebody else over for speeding but not being able to do anything, he himself would be pulled over for doing like 39 and a 25. And he attempted to sway the police officer into not giving him a ticket by flashing his badge. It didn't work. He was even fucking caught on body camera saying, quote, "I'm just trying to stay off the front page of the damn newspaper. Tax collector gets ticket. This is the kind of political crap I have to deal with."
Wow.
Like anybody would. The officer ticketed him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
like as if anybody would care.
Yeah.
So he was caught inappropriately funneling $3.5 million of taxpayer money to his friends. And these include the boys that were in his wedding party.
Fuck yeah.
Now, he used public funds to buy things such as body armor, weapons, ammunition, and a drone. He also used $90,000 to buy a server room for his cryptocurrency company.
Oh, that's how you know this guy's legit. He's got his own cryptocurrency. What the fuck is it called?
No,
Greenberg's Greenbacks?
And then those servers overloaded on a circuit breaker inside a county building that started a fire and caused nearly $7,000 in damages.
So he had
that
it
were
inside.
not covered by insurance.
He had the server room inside county property?
Dude, he built it in like his little tax collector office, and when other employees would walk by and ask what was going on, he told them not to ask questions. This is the fucking brain
He would flash
trust.
his badge and point a Glock directly at their face and say, "If you know what's good for you, you won't ask questions that are bigger than you, bucko."
Dude, this asshole and Gaetz were like the fucking genius symposium everywhere they went.
Oh, this rocks. This is... I still don't know what the fuck this story's about, but I love every bit of it.
No, it's just about idiots in Florida.
It's just about dumb Florida men doing dumb
It's like a fucking Coen Brothers movie, dude. Like,
yeah, no, this is like a dude's rock, like espionage thriller.
Yeah. So allegedly, this dude was using public funds to buy cryptocurrency and crypto mining rigs, and then he was selling the rigs for personal profit. He created a bank account in the agency's name in which he was the sole signatory, and he used it to divert money from the public agency, including falsifying checks. This dude was in office for like 3 years, dude.
Yeah, this is insane.
He allegedly claimed $200,000 for investment in his office, and then he used that to buy cryptocurrency for himself.
Fuck yeah.
He created a business called Government Blockchain Systems, LLC, according to the indictment. He used this to encrypt and migrate information from driver's licenses, property taxes, and concealed carry permits, among other functions, into blockchain technology, trying to say it would make people's data more secure. I'm sorry, this fucking idiot was accessing the data. It wasn't secure.
Yeah, no.
People could even pay their taxes with cryptocurrency, which is really something that the federal government wants to do with something that, just can in a day like half its value.
Sure, yeah. Dude, it's, oh, man.
Yep. So, he's alleged to have used the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program created to help small businesses during the pandemic, and he used the funds in order to revive some of his old defunct companies. He falsified, as the tax collector, that some of these now defunct companies had been bringing in over $1 million in revenue for the year leading up to February 2020. Some of these hadn't been in business since like 2015.
Oh my God.
So he was also indicted for stalking a political rival by pretending to be a, quote, very concerned student in anonymous letters to the school where the rival worked as a teacher, alleging that the teacher had inappropriate sexual contact with a student. Real funny because he was the one doing that kind of shit. He created fake social media accounts made to look like the teacher and wrote posts making them appear to be a, quote, segregationist and in favor of white supremacy.
Fuck yeah.
Even though he himself had a history of Islamophobic posting, which the Orlando Weekly reported in 2018. Added to his charges this past August were identity theft and sex trafficking of a child. They found several fake IDs inside his home, which the feds allege he used his position of tax collector to access a state database in order to acquire personal information of people he was in a sugar daddy relationship with, including a minor between 14 and 17.
Okay.
He allegedly made the fake IDs in order to help facilitate his efforts to engage in commercial sex acts. And he also tracked his wife using her Snapchat account and showed up uninvited at his mother-in-law's home around 5 a.m., which prompted them to call the police, which got him arrested.
Wow, that sounds like there's a really solid relationship there.
So
these are just all like the moving parts in this developing story right now that like might turn out to be
unfolding.
Like yeah, and we don't know how this is going to end. So like. If you're as confused as I am, you're not wrong. Like this, we don't know what the fuck is going on. This is just all the many, many pieces of a big shit puzzle.
Matt Gaetz caught up with a sex trafficker in Florida, a child sex trafficker,
and
who
also
was
like
burning down government buildings with crypto mines. And then also potentially involved in some sort of extortion by CIA agents.
So like, yeah, get like this like mysterious like super agent out of Tehran.
Yeah.
And somehow all of this is supposed to distract us from the fact that he like fucks kids.
Yeah. And they're bringing it, and the story includes like Russian oligarchs and Russian mobsters.
It's kind of nuts. You're right. This is like a Coen Brothers movie. Like this,
dude, yeah, it's got like a bunch of stupid threads that kind of don't go anywhere.
Yeah, this could honestly be like a really cool, like an HBO series.
Yeah.
We should write it.
Yeah.
We should leverage our 10 episodes worth of podcasting experience into becoming big-time Hollywood screenwriter hotshots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's do it.
And then honestly, we can just start doing all the same shit that Matt Gaetz is. We can just like get like involved with like Mossad and like
No. We're not gonna do that.
No, we're good boys. Dude, this rocks. I'm so excited to find out like what comes of all this.
Yeah. Dude, like, it's just like the more I'm reading, I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me,
Like, what
man.
new develops are there this week? Like, something like, oh my god, the entire Gaetz family has been spotted at Bohemian Grove, like, sacrificing a child to Moloch.
Yeah. Just
Oh,
like
this is so
a
funny.
large number of owl costumes found in Matt Gaetz' home.
I just gotta say, though, like, I really think it's hilarious that, like, he's not like a centerpiece of QAnon conspiracies, because this is the type of shit that those people wish was happening.
Yeah.
And whenever anything
it's
like
got
it,
the deep state.
no,
It's got
just incompetent idiots. Yeah, it's incompetent idiots. It's not like it's not any more complicated than that. It's like
it's got the
goons
intelligence apparatus lying about things to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, this rocks. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I we should definitely do an update like in a month or something when we know more about this. Unless the story just like disappears and fizzles out, which it probably will. Wow. All right, cool. Well, that was fun. That actually took us to like almost full episode length, but
I know.
Unfortunately for everyone, even though this is our like quote unquote lazy week, we've got more to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about it, my
man.
man.
So this wasn't specifically for this episode, but I knew that I was going to want to do something on this at some point. I purchased I purchased a new book that I'm really excited about. So I got a copy of this book called English as She Is Spoke by Pedro Carolino, or Carolino probably. So this is a 19th century Portuguese to English phrase book and conversation glossary that was written to help native Portuguese speakers navigate basic conversations in English. And so this was written in 1855, as I said, by a guy named Pedro Carolino. And what's interesting, this book has gone on to become super famous, and I thought you would particularly be interested in this because modern scrutiny has basically revealed that it's quite likely that Mr. Carolino spoke not a single word of English.
The classic Portuguese trickster.
He wrote probably the most famous Portuguese to English phrase book of all time, and it's famous because it was written by like someone completely ignorant of the English language. So apparently the way that he wrote this book was he spoke French. So he used a Portuguese to French phrase book, and then also bought a French to English translation book. And so he would translate everything from Portuguese to French, and then he would translate the French to English. So there's a lot of room for error there, obviously. And this also is like in 1855, so I can't imagine the stuff that he... Now, he's often co-credited with José de Fonseca as his co-author because José was the guy who wrote the Portuguese to French book that he used. But so the end result is, I just got home like right before we recorded this and flipped through this and just highlighted a bunch of shit. But so Mark Twain, this was one of his favorite books of all time. He said something along the lines of like, a more perfect book could never be written. It's the funniest thing I've ever read. And like, you couldn't intentionally replicate something this hilarious if you tried, which is great because, Mark Twain is one of the greatest humorists of all time. Yeah. So he was obsessed with it. So I bought it, and I just thought that it would be fun for me to kind of flip through this historical document, and we could talk about some of the awesome things that I found inside it.
So can you restate the name of this Portuguese king who wrote the book?
So it's called the king is Pedro Carolino, and the book is called English as She Is Spoke. So like even the title, we're off to a rocky start. So the way that this book is laid out already is like kind of insane. Right off the bat, it's broken down into like just words in specific categories, and the categories are things like the first one is of the man, right? And then it's just like like listing like all the body parts of a man. But what's so funny is that this is like by no means comprehensive. So this version I have is just the English translations. So section 1, of the man, the brain, the inferior lip, the brains, the superior lip, the fat of the leg, the marrow, the ham, and the reins. Ah, yes, a man, right? And so you go through, and it's just this is all this. So this first part of this book is just like sections like that. So one of my favorite ones was degrees of kindred. So like names for different types of relatives. So here we go: the gossip, the quarter grandfather, the gossip mistress, the quarter grandmother, the nurse, a guardian, a relation, an guardian, an relation, a widower, and a widow. And that's every possible family member that you can have. Just like concisely. Let's see, what do we got here? There were a bunch that I thought were really funny. Oh yeah. So there's a section here that's all different types of food, which is just called eatings. Some sugar plum, hog fat, some wigs, some marchpanes, a chitterling sausages, an omelet, a dainty dishes, a sliced steak, a mutton shoulder, and of course, no meal would be complete without vegetables boiled to a pap.
To a pap?
Now we've got a list of all quadruped beasts. So this is a full compiling of all four-legged creatures known to man.
Okay.
Lamb, roebuck, ass, dragon, she-ass, wild sow, ass colt, lioness, ram, and of course a dormouse. And then this is his. He's got another one, a list of birds: becafico, huthcock, calendar, whoop, store, peacock, young turkey, pinch, and redbreast, a robin. Yeah, man, dude, it's so fucking funny. I'm just gonna bounce around a little bit. Oh, dude, this one fucking cracks me up. This is his list of colors. Are you ready? This is Pedro Carolino's list of colors: white, gridolin, cray, musk, and red.
Those are all the colors.
Yeah, and then his list of metals and minerals.
Wait. Does he correspond the actual color? Like, is there like you see like blue next to whatever he wrote?
Dude, no.
No.
No. Now, in the original, there would have been Portuguese translations for these,
Yeah,
so
I
I guess
guess so.
maybe it would help to see like what he was trying to equate them to.
Blue is gridolin.
Dude, his list of different weight measurements is also really funny. There's only 4 of them, apparently, that he's aware of. There's counterpoise. There's an obol. There's a pound and a half. And there's a quarter ounce. And with those 4 measurements, I mean, you should be able to fucking accurately weigh just about anything. What else do we have? Oh my God, there's so many fucking good ones. All the different parts of a church. Again, there's only 4. Any good church should have these 4 parts. You've got the sides of the nef, the little cellal, the holy water pot, and then of course there's the bobby of the church.
The bobby, yeah.
Let's see. He's got a list of music instruments. There's only 3.
Okay.
You can of course learn to play the flageolet. You can learn to play the droom.
True.
And the hurdy-gurdy, like Donovan.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so then it's broken down into different sections. So that's sort of like the.
Oh my God.
That's just a bunch from like
thing I've ever heard.
the words. What'd you say?
It's like the funniest thing I've ever
Oh,
heard.
dude, this rocks. So then he's got a compiling of familiar phrases, like things that you just might need to say in an everyday conversation in English, right? So say you're a Portuguese man and you're traveling abroad for business. In a given day, you'll probably, of course, need to say the following.
Epa.
Have you say that? At what o'clock dine him? Dress your hairs. You're gonna fucking love this one. This is like right in the middle of a bunch of short ass phrases. These apricots and these peaches make me and to come water in mouth. And then of course after that, wax my shoes. What's another one? Oh yeah. This room is filled of bugs. He has spit in my coat. I not make what to cog hand spit. I am catched cold in the brain.
Yep. Which of course, with all these phrases, you would begin by saying a nice resplendent epa.
Yeah, epa. I have mind to vomit.
Epa, I have a mind to vomit.
Take that boy and whip him too much. Okay, so then what's next? Oh, then there's like an example of like what he calls it familiar dialogues. So like little conversations that you're likely to have. The first one that he has here is for to wish the good morning. I'm going to play both parts just because you don't have access to this.
Yeah.
How does your father do? He is very well. I am very delight of it. Where is it? I shall come back soon. I was no came that to know how you are. Fucking done deal. You've made it.
Great.
You're an English language speaker. Oh, this is another good one. On the weather. We shall have fine weather today. There is some foggy. I fear of the thunderbolt. The sun rise on. The sun lie down. It is light moons. Yeah, man, I don't know. They just keep going on. Oh, okay. There's this whole section here of like anecdotes. These are like little parables, like things that have a lesson.
Hell yes.
I think this one will speak to a lot of our listeners, because honestly, there's a lot of sort of inherent wisdom to this. One-eyed was laid against a man which had good eyes that he saw better than him. The party was accepted. I had gain, oversaid the one-eyed. Why I see you 2 eyes, and you not look me who won. Right? Like whomst among us. Okay, and then the last one that I think is really funny, he's got a list of popular like idioms and proverbs, But of course, he wrote idiotisms and proverbs, which is like another like unintentional comedy. So these are just like little sayings that you might say throughout your day.
Yeah.
Few, few the bird make her nest. Nothing some money, nothing of Swiss. Oh, and this is a little nugget of wisdom for you. In the country of blinds, the one-eyed men are kings.
What the?
It went to beat the iron during it is hot. I think that's like some of these you can kind of make sense of, like strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Of the hand to mouth, one lose often the soup. Then there's a couple that like just don't make any sense, like to crunch the marmoset. Like I don't even know where I would begin to, like where would I use that? And then there's just one more. To make paps for the cats. I don't know what it means. So anyway, I just thought this was really interesting, and I've been kind of obsessed with it, like reading about it recently, and so I finally bought a copy. And that's really it. There's not like a whole lot more to the story. It's just kind of an interesting tale of like this guy who went on to create like one of the most widely published Portuguese to English language reference books. But it almost immediately on publication, it was like, this is like the original version of, you know, The Room with Tommy Wiseau. Like he had no intention of creating something hilarious. But immediately, like, the only level of fame he was able to achieve was through, like, the notoriety of having created something so completely fucking stupid that people just, like, couldn't help but get their hands on it. You know what I mean?
So
And,
I am on record as saying that I believe the Portuguese, of which I am a member, are an inherently funny people. And I feel like this book could only come from Portugal. Only a Portuguese man could write that fucking book.
dude, and... I don't know. I just feel like there's so much in here that I could dive into. Like, I just gave you, like, a little smattering of some of the nuggets in here. And I really hope one day to be able to kind of effortlessly incorporate some of the things from this book into my everyday conversation. Because it really is great.
Yeah.
You know, like, I really can't get over the fact that there's only 5 colors listed in here. And, like, of the 5 colors, one of them is gridolin. Like, I just don't know.
How did he even get to that?
You've got white, gridolin, cray, musk, and red. Okay? And if you need more than that, I don't know what to tell you. How much does he weigh? Well, he weighs about an old bowl minus a quarter ounce. Like, there's no... I don't know. I just think it's great. And then I really only have one more. And again, this is something just kind of small that I've been looking for an excuse to kind of bring up and just chat about in an episode. And there's not enough written about it to create anything like a full show about it. And that is the Erfurt latrine disaster. Have you ever heard of this?
I have not.
Okay, so part of why I'm so excited about it is because I think this would make a really great Crusader Kings 3 like random event. So this takes place in 1184 in the Duchy of Thuringia, which was one of the duchies in the Holy Roman Empire. It was in the in like the client kingdom, one of the northern client kingdoms. It used to be Austrasia. It's kind of hard for me to figure out where the fuck this was. But so basically,
well, that's because if you ever look at a map of the states of the Holy Roman Empire, it looks like somebody just puked on the map.
Yeah, it's completely nuts. So this is like just south of Saxony. So like. Just south of Denmark, kind of.
Yeah, like northern Germany area today.
Right. So, I mean, basically what was going on, there was a feud between the ruler of Thuringia, which his title was Landgrave, but he was sort of like a rank above a count, but kind of not quite a duke.
Landgrave sounds like one of those, like, D-list superheroes.
Yeah. Louis the Pious III of the Ludovingians, who were the rulers of Thuringia. There was this ongoing feud between him and the Archbishop of Mainz, who was Conrad. And this had existed for, you know, I was going to say centuries, but decades. These two had been basically at each other's throats. And eventually, King Henry VI, who was the king of Germany, and then later would become Germany, the client state of the Holy Roman Empire, and then he would go on to become Holy Roman Empire. But so at this point, he's just like the king, the client king in the empire. And so he decides that, like, you know, he needs these guys to not be at each other's throats because, you know, there's a war going on in Poland. He can't have his own rulers fighting each other at home.
Oh, no shit. A war in Poland featuring Germans, huh?
And so he decided to call a meeting in Erfurt to kind of like work things out. And so tons and tons of nobles from all over this region gather in this little church. And so they're there, and they're ostensibly there to kind of like help broker a peace between Thuringia and Mainz so that the king can, you know, mount a successful campaign abroad in Poland. So on July 24th, they all get together. So it's hot. And just as the assembly is gathering, the the floor underneath them, because there's like 60 guys in this one, more than that, there's like probably like 80 people gathered in this little church in Erfurt. The floor gives out, and like in any good modern building, directly under the floor was like a massive cavern leading down into a cesspit, where all of the waste of, like, you know, all the surrounding buildings gathered into this giant, like, 12-foot deep morass of human shit. And so the floor gives out, and this, like, packed room full of nobility all plunge down into the pit, and, like, in the ensuing panic, like 60 people die drowning in fucking feces.
Well, I mean, you can't come back from that. Anyway, once you go down to the shit pit,
if you've fallen into the shit pit, you're either bearing the shame forever, or you're just gonna breathe deep and let it all go.
Yeah, I just hope somebody has a spear nearby that they can just toss at you.
So King Henry survives, which is great, but he unfortunately, fortunately for King Henry of Germany, the problem solves itself because the Archbishop falls in. Everybody basically falls in, and it just ends up being this huge fucking disaster. And you don't have to worry about all these people being at each other's throats anymore because they've all now drowned in shit. And I don't know, I feel like in there somewhere is like a drain the swamp kind of joke, but I don't even have the effort. I can't give it the effort to make it. But so that's basically it. That's like all we know about this event. There's not more to it. There's not like a bigger story. And
One time in the HRE, a bunch of people drowned in shit.
Yeah, 60 people fell through the floor of a church and drowned in a cesspit full of human waste. And that's it. I mean, to me, that's like the epitome of a left unread story. There's just no way that I could like stretch that out unless I wanted to do like a famous tales of the Holy Roman Empire episode. But I just really I figured today like I would just bring it up and we could chat about it a little bit. I just think it's fun.
Yeah, it rocked.
Yeah. That's it. I didn't bring a whole lot else to the table. Like I said, I was in transit, so we're just filling a little time here. I'm really excited to see what happens with Matt Gaetz, though. I really, 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 really want to see what happens.
Yeah, I know.
And I hope it turns out that like all this conspiracy shit around him is true. That would fucking rule.
That he was being extorted, and he could have just avoided this by paying $25 million.
But also that he definitely is a child rapist, because like I said, while I don't like to judge people based on their appearance, he's got the eyes of a rapist.
Jesus.
He does. He's got a rapist's eyes, and I'll just say it.
Yeah. He's a strange looking fellow, man. It's very uncomfortable gait, very uncomfortable posture.
You know, they often say that...
And that fucking chin, dude, like, I'm sorry, what the fuck?
Yeah, no. Nothing... He looks different in every picture, too.
Yeah, he does.
Every time you see him, he looks completely different.
Yeah. He's probably low on adrenochrome.
Yeah, it's like I say all the time to you, and have probably said on this show, he's one of these guys that, as much as, like, I love spending time talking about how not real, like, conspiracies like QAnon and stuff are, this is one of those people that like it makes it really hard to make that argument, because he's like definitely actually drinking baby's blood, you know, like there's no way. If I find out that like if anybody is,
it's fucking this guy.
Or like Prince Philip.
Yeah, Prince Philip definitely looks like he's like late. It's been like 6 months since his last hit.
Prince Philip has been kept alive through dark and macabre means.
Profane, profane magic.
Yeah, his life is a continued disgrace to the eyes of the godhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I don't know, unless you've got something else to add. I certainly don't, and I feel...
Yeah, just want to say thank you for tuning in. If you like the podcast, please tell your friends. You know, it really helped to get us out there, some word of mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, I guess we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in again.
Yeah, and Evan will actually, I think, correct, you'll be doing next week's episode, too, to kind of...
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, doubling up on the Evan hours.
Hell yeah, man. We love a double Evan hour.
Yeah,
that's what we used to call it in college when Evan would take his pants off and he would
that's not what we called it.
So what he would do is he would put a bunch
happen.
of rubber bands around his head until it all turned red, and then he would. Anyway.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, seriously, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for letting us ramble our way through this one.
Peace. Later.